changing that ideology and reframing what we think about when we talk about barriers and who's in need and why we should be looking out for the whole community and the whole person first. You have a thriving person, you're going to have a thriving workforce. So I think getting everybody and our leaders on the same page about what that looks like.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.
When I was brought on board, it was specifically to convene stakeholders and partners together around these issues. So I think one of the biggest development is that we are actually meeting, really trying to work collaboratively to address the barriers that came out of the community needs assessment. Besides that, we've also, we have our governance structure, and we've also come up with quite a few initiatives to figure out how to address the problem. So it's been pretty nice.
I think the biggest thing that we've been seeing is that businesses are particularly aware of these challenges and realizing that we all need to work together to overcome them.
Well, with childcare, it's been an ongoing issue. It's definitely been framed as more of a workforce development issue, so I think it's getting a lot more attention. I think there's been some policy and legislation that has given us some hope. However, the gap here is that it's still maybe not going far enough. We still have businesses that are kind of wary about, taking the opportunity that's been given with some of the legislation and the tri-share model. But I think that if we can get employers on board, which I think there is definitely some traction there, then we can maybe pilot some child care initiatives that make it bigger in our valley.
We've created some committees and subcommittees and organizations that have been coming together to sponsor webinars. We've been meeting to try to figure out ways to overcome the biggest challenges, which were identified previously as behavioral health in the workplace, childcare, which is keeping a lot of parents out of the workplace, and transportation. And so I'm personally serving on a couple of those committees with a lot of members of our business community and, like I said, with Goodwill.
It was a good surprise to see how many people are ready to collaborate. I think we're really seeing that we can't do this by ourselves, that our agendas cannot just be on our organization. It really has to be community focused. So we've had great partnerships form because of this. You talked earlier, you asked me earlier about what are some of the initiatives that we've been doing, what some of the traction is. We're co-creating an opportunity center that's based on a pipeline to employment while also taking care of the needs of the community. We're trying to build an infrastructure to coordinate care and referral system for people who are trying to get jobs, but also getting them help with social services. So I think us just coming together has really just brought up a lot of things that we're able to do better now because we're thinking holistically and we're not siloed and as fragmented as we were.
I think that the biggest level of involvement that we have seen is just this collaboration from different organizations and businesses and social workers and people that all had been working on a lot of these different tasks, but maybe more siloed. And now, with the help of the Chamber and Goodwill, bringing them all to the table so that we can work together. And obviously all of these organizations also have their, outreach to different organizations and people in the community. So we're all working together, and that's really been uplifting to see.
I think really getting our legislators on the same page, our politicians, both our Trumbull and Mahoning County, getting our commissioners involved and on the same page about why these issues are so huge, especially with our transportation. And when we talk about transportation, we're not just talking about busing. We're talking about biking. We're talking about alternative methods of transportation. Also with the child care, investing in that with our employers and making it a little bit more sustainable so that employers are going to want to kind of participate in this tri-share model. And I think just with behavioral health, it's helping reduce that stigma. So I think it's changing that ideology and reframing what we think about when we talk about barriers and who's in need and why we should be looking out for the whole community and the whole person first. You have a thriving person, you're going to have a thriving workforce. So I think getting everybody and our leaders on the same page about what that looks like.
Just doing things like this, making sure that we are continuing to inform, doing updates with the public. We've done a couple podcasts with Goodwill, just different ways like that to keep reminding people that this is a challenge and we're working on it and we need everybody's help. And also our communication on these projects with our members. The Chamber itself has about 3,000 business members, which represents about 150,000 employees in the Valley. That's a big group of people. So we have our own outward-facing communications that we can share with our members and that we just want to continue to communicate with the public.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.